Who's up next in the Golden Chair? Speaker, creator, and community builder focusing on supporting creators with emotional regulation and mindset guidance. Jayna Swan. I am your host, Christina Vidovich of Women Getting Visible. And happy Wednesday to everyone who is joining us live from around the world. Maybe it's Thursday. We are just 9 days away from the Women Getting Visible show and conference in Washington, D.C., which will be October 10 and 11, 12. And oh, look who I have next to me. This amazing woman who I met last January for the very first time at my very first podcast conference. The Podfest, not the Podfest, but Podfest and the Podfam. And just a few days ago, we spent some amazing time together at Empowered Podcasting 2 conference, where Jayna, I was absolutely blown away by your presentation. Not only did you bring topics up that just brought the house down, but talked about visibility, and you did a transformation right in front of our eyes. I want to welcome speaker, creator, facilitator, Jayna Swan.
Oh, thank you. And the crowd goes wild.
Wait, I'll make it happen. Where is it?
Yes, there you go. I love that, Christina. Thank you so much for that intro. It is my honor to just bring my magic wherever I go. And I'm so glad you got to be in that audience because that was something special. It really was.
Just wow. And it's funny because everyone about just the transformation of the person that you brought up on stage, the way that I felt, the way they felt, like, and not just they, there was several theys that I talked to of going, holy moly, this transformation piece that you do, kudos to you. So tell us, where are you today? Because I know you're doing a whole speaking circuit, and tell us about all the places you're speaking.
Yes, I'm actually currently home in my home studio. I do leave tomorrow. We're leaving to go, my home studio. I'm here in Orlando, Florida. So absolutely love my Florida life, but we are traveling a lot. I'm about to go to Wisconsin to speak to a room full of dentists. I get the honor of talking to them about co-regulation and communication because dentists are known for being great with teeth, not so great with people. So I get to help them learn how to have hard conversations. And then right after that, I'm going out to Dallas for Vid Summit to meet some YouTubers, see how I can help pour into them. And then after that, I get to come out to you guys and we get to bring this workshop to you. And I'm so excited for you guys to get to experience what Christina has gotten to experience herself.
Oh my goodness. Jayna, and what's next? You're going to go home and rest for a minute.
Yes, and then a 12-day vacation. We only take a once-a-year vacation, my partner and I, because he's a hardworking man, and we're going to take a 12-day. It'll be the longest vacation we've taken together in the last 10 years, and I'm so excited.
Wow, that sounds so good, especially after all this magical work that you're doing, because I know with all that speaking, you also have to make sure that you find that downtime for yourself.
Energy balance is a definite big part of it because it's a lot of energy on stage pouring into the audience like that. And then it's taking that time to go back into my feminine where I allow myself to just rest, relax, and have that good balance and that harmony.
And I love that because you do help people with that portion of their life of finding their own balance. So where do you think is your favorite spot? I mean, there's so many places, but what's your favorite spot when you're helping people?
Absolutely in the identity transformation, because that's, for me, the core of it all. If I can help you shift how you identify, naturally, the way you speak is going to change. Naturally, the way you behave is going to change. Naturally, all the things you used to identify or label as problems are no longer problems.
It's so interesting because I liken that to one of the interviews that I did in my Women's Health, Wealth, and Happiness, where I talked to a woman and I didn't even know she had cancer as a child, but she stopped identifying with that anymore. And it would just come up once in a while, like, oh, I help children with cancer. I do this fundraise of once a year and I do this weekend event. And I'm like, oh, what made you get into that? And then she gently mentioned it because she doesn't want to identify with that anymore. And I love that because that is what you're doing, of stop saying, oh, I'm this, but who am I now? And I think that's a beautiful part of the transformation.
A lot of people get stuck in the I want. And the moment you say want, you separate yourself from the energy of having. And so they say, I want to be an influencer. I want to be a business owner. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a content creator. And they never get up and create the content, start the business, do the thing. And instead, just label yourself now, right? Maybe you want to be a speaker. Instead of waiting until you get the stage, label yourself as a speaker today. And then that stage will come to you. It'll naturally manifest in your world because I guarantee the opportunities are all around you. You're just not seeing them yet because the lens at which you're looking at the world is not yet through the lens that you would like to identify.
Mm, well said. All right, so I get to ask you the magic question that I love to ask all my guests. If invisibility is down at 0 and visibility is at 10, where do you see yourself on your own visibility scale?
Yes, I'd say right now I'm between a 7 and an 8. I feel like I've been at a solid 7 the last 3 or so months, and in the last weekend I started to go to an 8. Now, I will preface and set some context. The reason why I'm giving myself that score is back in 2021, I ended up going viral on Instagram, and I ended up going viral over the following 2 years to a total of over 20 million people. So I would say that's my 10. And so in comparison to getting on Instagram every day, having an audience of over 11,000 highly engaged people, I was seeing hundreds of thousands of views on everything I was posting. I'm not at that point anymore because I did get to a point where I got to what I call social media PTSD and I struggled a bit. So I ended up deleting it all. So if you go look now, I'm only in the couple hundreds, but that's okay because the visibility I'm getting now is more clear. It's more honest, it has more intention, and there's more purpose behind what I'm doing. So while I don't have millions of eyeballs, those hundreds or even thousands I do have are the right eyeballs and they're ready for what I have to offer.
Oh, I love that. There's this whole story of transition
Mhm.
from what some people often call now the vanity number of I've
Yeah.
got all this to the real number of what community is about. And it sounds like you're, at that beautiful place of really creating a brand new, amazing community because knowing you is just amazing in itself. So we'll start with that.
Thank you, thank you. I really work hard to have an energy that can create this safe container for people to open up, and they often say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this." I'm like, "I do. It's my energy." So I thank you for that. Community is something that has helped me get through some of my darkest times. So I'm really grateful to be able to provide that to other people.
And so the next question I'm going to ask is what was it that made you decide that it was time to get visible in your life?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've experienced visibility at different times in my life. Now, I think there's a different foundation that I'm coming from at this time. And so what happened was about last April, I had a really good friend from my gym who unfortunately fell down a dark path, which led him to taking the life of his ex-wife as well as himself. And I had been confronted with something where I recognized that someone so close to me had no idea that I actually had the tools to help. Someone that was right there every single day, right in front of me, that quite honestly, he is the one that lifted me up when I walked in the gym with tears in my eyes. When I had those tough days and I was just showing up because I knew that just moving the weight would make me feel better, he was always the one who was right there to give a hug. And I didn't realize that he had no idea that the suffering that he was going through in silence could have been helped if I had just been louder, if I had been more visible. I was allowing myself to hold back and not really share with the people at the gym who I was and what I did because I didn't want them to think I was weird or woo woo or out there or like you rewire people's brains, like what do you mean by that? And it's like I know it sounds weird or I help people manifest, like whatever terminology you want to use. I was worried because my gym family was just that, a family. And I recognized that by being quiet, by being small, and by not sharing, unfortunately, we all pay its biggest price. And I will not let that happen again. I know that we are in a world that needs what I have to offer, and I will not see that happen twice. So in April, I really recommitted myself and it looked like taking a step back and looking at myself and recognizing, because I truly believe we are all, well, I used to say an onion, but someone stopped me and they're like, "You're not an onion, Jayna. You are a buttered biscuit. You are flaky and you are delicious." And I was like, "Oh, I like that." So we are all buttered biscuits. What it means is we have layers and layers. And the layer I was processing for the last 10 years was an unworthiness layer. The layer I'm processing now was a safety layer, because that opportunity to be activated was there. And now I've gotten to work through that. And so the workshop that you got to experience last weekend was everything that I had been doing with myself since April, put together for you, gifted for you. So you don't have to experience what I experienced, and so that cumulatively we can save lives.
Wow, that is just, I mean, there's no words. There's no words for those moments that are so changing,
Yeah.
that dig deep. And so, how did you work through that for yourself? I mean, because definitely there was internal work going on. And I think that's one of the things you also help people with, was when we, learn about who we are and these tools that we have within ourselves. And then we remember that we have those tools. So, what was it that really helped you get through those moments?
Yeah. I'd say it's something I get complimented on the most is how quickly I process through grief and loss. Because I learned a long time ago, if you just sit in it and actually feel those emotions and allow yourself to have the rush of chemical in the brain, it's like it only lasts so long. The problem is most people, they box it up, they push it away, they don't want to sit in it, they don't want to feel that heartbreak. And because of that, they don't, you could think of it this way. You want to kill the baby dragon, because if you don't, it becomes a mama dragon. And she then follows you around for the rest of your life and becomes so much more difficult to battle. So instead, when it's small, while it's fresh, sit in it. So I really sat in the pain, and it was uncomfortable. It was not something I want to sit in. It's something a lot of people around me ran away from, but I faced it head on. And in that process of sitting, I was able to explore the fact that, okay, this is triggering my lack of safety. It wanted me to pull back. Everything naturally, protective mechanisms in my brain was telling me, be quiet, pull back, stop doing what you're doing, don't post on your podcast. Like, it was telling me not to use my voice. And so I had to say, what is this triggering? Okay, I don't feel safe. Okay. Okay. I had recognized in the past, I was always looking for the root of my problem. So what do you get when you look for a problem? You notice a lot of problems in your life. And then I got to a point, I'm like, okay, what if I was to flip that and reverse it into, now I'm seeking the source of my safety? And that's when it really clicked. I'm like, okay. So I started meditating on the terms, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. It used to be hard for me to even say those words, but saying I am safe, meditating, I started to recognize, like, yeah, I am safe, right? I live in a neighborhood that's gated. I have a weapon I could conceal if I wanted to feel that protection. I've learned how to fight. I'm safe externally, right? And I was like, you know what? Actually, at a deeper level, I am safe internally. You could lock me up in prison. You could torture me. You could do whatever. But in my mind, I'm safe because I am always able to choose how I feel. Right. And then I took it to the third dimension, which is really where the shift happened. And I recognized that I am safe. Like, I literally, safety starts with me. I vibrate at the frequency of being safe. And now my entire world only ever shows me things that reaffirm that very truth. And so instead of seeing things from the fact that I am not safe, which is what the old story was, I would notice all of the little things and I would fill in those gaps. Because, all you see is a person in a dark hoodie walking towards you at night, and you fill in the gaps. And now I don't see it in a negative light because I am safe. So I vibrate at a level of safety and my world reflects just that back to me. That's when everything changed. I stopped having that hyper vigilance of a victim, who is constantly looking on edge about when's the next thing going to happen, because that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Started getting to the point to where I just lived in that and breathed into it and believed in every cell of my body that I am safe. Because yes, I would be able to protect myself in any situation, physically, mentally, and emotionally and energetically. I think that was the biggest shift for me.
Wow. Again, just wow. But I love it because it's being present in the moment as well. I believe that you, myself, others will know when we are in that presence of self, we'll know when there's an actual threat. We
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
sense that instead of having to always live on that defensive, because wow, can that defensive really shut us down from moving forward in so many places? Everything from childhood, that reinforcement
Yeah.
that we do because somebody said when we were little, and that little voice still sticks in there, and going, okay, whose voice is that?
When
Not
you think about
ours.
it this way, is when we don't feel safe, what do? We put up a wall to protect ourselves. And
Yeah.
if you put up a wall, how can anybody love you if you don't give them a chance to get close enough to do that? And so when you walk into rooms and you say, well, I don't feel like I belong. Well, how can you belong when there's a wall between you and everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. You can't. It's there. And what a beautiful thing. It's really loving yourself to
Yeah.
the deepest levels. So beautiful. So beautiful. So, why is now the time for you to start really forging forth and get visible?
You know, I really think that now is the time because of what's happening in the world. And I have wanted to be on this path, and I use that word intentionally, for many years. And I had that separation from having the thing. And then the things that had started happening in our world recently, where content creators are now feeling a threat to their life for speaking up for what they believe in. And it's not okay for that to continue for me. And it hits on a big part of my mission, is really to impact this world through content creation. And so by me helping support other content creators to feel safe and scale from safety versus scarcity, that's truly where I'm living my mission. And I feel like it's so important right now that those voices that need to be heard are louder. And right now, I feel like those who are speaking from a place of love are contracting, and they're getting smaller, and they're becoming fearful of sharing. And I just want to help amplify those voices, because those who speak from fear and those who speak from the other end of the spectrum, they're only getting louder. So to be able to not combat, that's not even the right word, but to balance out the opposite side of the dichotomy, we who speak love need to radiate that even more. And if that means going to the ends of the earth to help women and men and content creators around the world feel safe so that they can continue to produce content without burning out, that to me is worth doing this and making myself vulnerable and visible. And I am an open book. You could see podcasts and episodes of all sorts of different content creation pieces. I do not hold back. Ask me about any part of my life. I will be open and honest. I used to teach people intimacy online. I have talked about the most vulnerable things on the internet, and I am not ashamed to do it, because it all comes from a place of educating and elevating the world at large.
I love that. Educating. That's a beautiful word because that's exactly what it is. And I think, as creators and content creators, that is a huge part of what we're doing is educating. And we all have our specialties, we all have our sweet spots. And wow, that's a big piece of ability, is that vulnerability. And the work that you've done, you really have to get people in that safe space. I know it sounds silly, but it's at the exact same time, with my ballroom experience, when I'm dancing with someone who's 6 inches from my face and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't stood this close to someone in a long time. And I'm like, I know, and it's okay. But creating that space of going, you are okay right now. This is, the magic of the moment. And there are rules, as we get into this, so that you can understand and feel a little bit vulnerable to touch another human being through the art of dance. So how about for you, when it comes to that vulnerability piece, do you have tips and tricks that you do to help someone say, okay, I'm going to trust you?
Yeah. And I'm one little extra clarity on that. So is it trusting in the audience to listen to their story? Is it trusting in me who's sharing the story? What exactly are you asking?
Ooh, that's even better. I like that too, because coming from you when you're working on that one-on-one with someone
Yes.
is just like, because they're digging into emotions that sometimes they don't want to even touch. And
Yeah.
you're going, come on. We've got the next, I think you said 12 hours in your initial program.
Yes.
You're going in and we're pulling out like one of those ribbons that just keep going and going.
Yes. Okay. I understand now. So absolutely. I not only do I have this inviting energy that is very safe, that people experience very quickly, but also I actually decided a long time ago not to go the route of becoming a therapist because they have certain rules and regulations they have to abide by to be able to maintain a license. Now, I don't color within the lines when it comes to helping someone heal. I am willing to do whatever it takes to get someone to the other side of their pain and their suffering. So, I don't necessarily have that license, but what I do have is a lifetime of, I have probably lived 1,000 lives in this short 33 years I've been on this planet. The amount of pain and suffering I truly have experienced. So I think that in the beginning of those sessions and many times throughout any coaching session with me, I will always offer my own stories. Say, would you like to hear my experience with this? And so I share my stories, I share my clients' stories, I share other stories of people I've met along the way. But I do believe that by me sharing the deep, dark depths at which I've survived allows people to take me off of a pedestal and put them right next to them. And people are so much more willing to walk a path with someone who's going to walk there and hold their hand than to walk a path that someone is, riding a bike in front of them. It looks like they're on easy mode. And so oftentimes my pain is not visible pain. I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm not in a walker, I don't have tremors. My pain comes from 7 surgeries on my vulva. My vulva being a part of my body no one ever sees. So you don't really notice the fact that I have endured extreme pain across a 10-year period of my time from 19 to 29. So I still have chronic pain on a regular basis that's never seen by anybody. And so being able to communicate that, being able to talk about the point in my life that I was addicted to opioids because I did go through some massive surgeries that took morphine, then Dilaudid, and then oxys, and to be able to get and find the things that I needed to do to be able to get me off of those drugs so that I can be the whole and healthy human that's right here in front of you today and not someone who I believe would have been on the streets if I didn't do these things, right? Walking the harder path. So I can talk about the past addictions. I talk about my past abuses. I talk about the different things that I utilize to be able to get past all of those abuses and those hard, low points in life that feel like what it does is it humanizes me. And I think that at that point, when someone can say, wow, if you are willing to be that vulnerable with me, I'm going to get vulnerable with you. And then it makes it so much easier for them to share what they're going to share. And then I've just really learned the art of holding space and being able to hear the most vile, horrific things and just hold that energy and stay grounded and stay calm and wait until the following day to go outside and cry it out and let all that energy out. Because I basically absorb the energy of my clients and then the next day process it on my own because they don't necessarily have those tools of processing and letting that energy go. So I just get to be that conduit. I get to be that vessel that helps in the process of releasing the stuck energy. And I think that's truly what makes it easy to open up to me.
Yeah. Well, and I can see that because you're ready. You're at the point where someone's not quite ready to talk, but they want to talk. The door is slowly opening, but your door is wide open and to
Yeah.
talk about that process and saying, "Look at me. I've been there. Let's go together." And I love that peace. So, can we do a little magic with our audience right now? I want to highlight you and take a moment if you could share something and help us find some space within ourselves.
Absolutely. Ooh, put me on the spot here. I love it. I love it. Okay. Um, okay. I'd like everybody listening to just take a nice deep breath. And if you'd like, feel free to just close your eyes gently. Just taking a nice inhale and exhale. Now, I'd like you to go to a moment in the past where you were going to release something to be seen, whether it was telling a story at a table of friends, whether it's recording yourself for the first time to put online, whether that's showing up and having a hard conversation with your spouse. Just find that moment in your past. It may have been a little difficult. You found a little resistance. Once you find that moment, I want you to just tap into your body. I want you to begin to recognize where you feel the energy in your body, whether it's a weight or a vibration. Maybe it's a heat or a cold. Maybe it's something that feels like it's a pressure in your chest or it's a tightness in your throat or your head. Just find where the energy resides in your body as you think of this moment where you're about to overcome this thing where you find that resistance. Now, I want you to take that energy and just begin to move it to a new part of your body. Maybe move it to your fingertips. Maybe move it to your toes. Just recognize that you have the control, that you can move that body. Maybe you move it up to your crown chakra and you feel the tops of your head expanding and opening. Maybe you choose to move it to your heart center and feel the warmth of it beginning to grow. Wherever it is that you have it in your body now, I just want you to expand that energy. Just beginning to feel it getting bigger, getting warmer, getting more full. And now we're going to breathe just 3 breaths. And as you breathe those three breaths, I want you to just inject as much gratitude into your body, into every cell of your body. Taking a nice deep breath in and out. Breathing in as much gratitude as you can in and exhale. One more deep breath full of gratitude and exhale. And now just recognizing that gratitude in every cell of your body is something you can choose at any moment in time. You can always come back to this moment. You can always control the energy in your body. And now allowing yourself to just take a nice deep breath and come back into the room, opening your eyes whenever you're ready. And that's an opportunity for you to get to experience what it's like to be in that moment right before you hit post, or right before you speak your voice and you feel that tension in your throat. And then remind yourself, I can move this. I can move this up to my head just a few inches, open myself up to curiosity. I can move it down a couple inches into my heart and fill it full of love and gratitude. Same thing goes for if it's a churning in your belly. Sometimes when I get a little bit nervous or something really truly means something a lot to me is all that's trying to tell me. And it's that belly, and you know that all you have is to move it up about 3 inches to get to your heart. All you have to do is move it up about 6 to 8 inches to get it to your crown chakra. But you have control and you have choice. So I hope that you enjoyed that little experience there.
That is fantastic, Jayna. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And I cannot wait to have you as a guest speaker at the Women Getting Visible. Jayna will be doing mindfulness journaling as well as a workshop. And oh my goodness, I know I loved it and I love some more. So thank you, Jayna, for joining us today. And we'll see you real soon.
Yay! I'm so excited for it.
Who will be up next in the Golden Chair? Join us next week. I am your host, Christina Vidovich of Women Getting Visible. Let me personally invite you to the Women Getting Visible show and conference October 10th through 12th in Washington, D.C. We'll kick off Friday night with our VIP reception. Saturday, we'll have powerful keynote speakers, incredible workshops, and networking opportunities. After the Back to Me session, you'll walk away with confidence on Sunday. Join us and get your visibility journey energized.